Hey guys, I originally uploaded this video with the Sonic Prime trailer, both flipped and with black and white filter, but it wasn't enough, so I had to add a distortion effect to it. Yeah, dodge copyright, sorry. Bro, today, or yesterday, was my day. If you didn't know, at the time of this recording, Netflix finally revealed a 40-second teaser for Sonic Prime. And if you forgot about Sonic Prime, I don't blame you too much, but I have been underdogging this show ever since it was announced, because all I needed to know was that the show was being developed by WildBrain, and if you saw my latest video on the subject, you know why I was excited for it. But I'll get into more detail just a little bit later. Before we get into that, really quick, I want to take a brief moment to thank you all, because this YouTube channel has finally been approved for monetization, which means I can treat this channel with much more seriousness because it's an actual thing in my life now. One day, my full-time job will be making content for you, and it's been my dream as a kid to do that. I love making videos on my thoughts and feelings, and maybe I'll go over my backstory or something like that another day. Maybe if Draw My Life becomes a trend again, I could make one of those. That'd be super cool. Seriously. If you watched any of my videos before now, if you were even just a second of the 4,000 watch hours I needed to get monetization, I owe a lot to you, seriously. And I just hope I can keep making great content on more than just Sonic for a long time. And if you want to see more on this channel, I would appreciate it more than anything. I have a ton of Sonic videos on almost every mainline game with Mania and Forces in production as we speak. And I have a very special collaborative project in the works with tons of friends and creators I look up to. Trust me guys, you're gonna love it. So make sure to subscribe if you're new, because I got a lot of great content in the works. And now, let's shut up and talk about Sonic Prime. If y'all didn't see my Sonic Prime video, just let me really quickly gush how much hype I've had over this project, because honestly, this show feels like it was made for me. Now, am I saying that a corporation took my interest into consideration when making a show for their brand? No, but once you hear all the parallels, you might see what I'm getting at. Sonic Prime is a show based on Sonic, my favorite game franchise. Sometimes written by Man of Action, and they said they would be taking inspiration from Old School Ben 10 and Generator X, two shows that I grew up on as a kid, mostly Old School Ben 10, a show that is deep in drama with a bit of cockiness, something that I think a Sonic show should have. But that wasn't enough for them. They had to get WildBrain, the animation studio that animates my second favorite show that's currently running right now. That might end in a couple weeks. I'm not ready. And the animation that they do in Ninjago just seemed to fit a Sonic show so well. And if that still wasn't enough, they named the show after my favorite show of all time, Transformers Prime. This show was made for me. I will take no questions. Anyway, sorry. Sonic Prime has finally gotten a trailer after what was part of a commercial spot and an extended little look at Netflix Geeked. But it was never enough to get a good idea of what the show was doing or for how the animation was. That changes with this trailer. Well, first, let me get my negatives out of the way. First of all, yeah, Green Hill Zone is here again, which is kind of getting annoying, especially because we're seeing it in Forces. Again, it's funny to think that the only two pieces of Sonic media we're not seeing Green Hill in is Sonic Movie 2 and Sonic Colors Ultimate, but whatever, I'll live with yet another piece of media that has Green Hill. The next complaint is that, yeah, visually things are just a little bit flat in the visual and color department, but this is actually normal for WildBrain. When Ninjago was taken over by WildBrain from WillFilm, the visuals did take a noticeable hit. It still looked good, don't get me wrong, but it is a little bit flatter than WillFilm's more cinematic style. But what they lacked in visuals, they made up for in the choreographed fight scenes. Alright, enough complaining. And speaking of animation, I told you, you didn't believe me, did you? You thought that I was crazy comparing this show to Ninjago and having faith in WildBrain. Now look at ya. The brief moments we see of Sonic and Shadow fighting, especially this clip right here, I adore WildBrain's choreography on Ninjago's fight scenes, and they are definitely using their experience on Sonic Prime. And it is perfect, I'm telling you. And it's only the beginning
beginning. The brief scenes we saw throughout this trailer are probably from the first, maybe second episode, so this is gonna be insane. I am so pumped. And it's not just the fight scenes that impress me. Sonic just seems to be so alive in these trailers. So much more alive than we've ever seen him unless it's from the movies. He just seems so bouncy and on the move, just as he should be. You know, speaking of the animation, I know I said earlier there seems to be a visual downgrade, but am I the only one that gets reminded of Sonic Boom when looking at the visuals? I think Sonic Boom looks a little bit better, of course, but I don't know, the visuals look a lot like Sonic Boom to me. Also, I don't see this mentioned too much, but Sonic's design seems slightly tweaked, and it's kind of weird because it's the modern Sonic design, but seems to borrow a bit from Boom, making it slightly taller and has slightly longer limbs, probably to work with the exaggerated cartoony art style they are going for. Anyway, in between these videos, we also got some of the voice cast who will be playing these characters, because apparently there's this rule in Canada where if a show is being produced, there has to be Canadian voice actors, which is a little strange, but whatever. And yeah, it's a little annoying we have to have another set of voice actors, which means there are currently 6 voice actors for Sonic the Hedgehog, with 3 running all at the same time. However, with that being said, I am very happy with the voice actor they got for Sonic. We haven't heard anyone else yet, but I have speculation that we'll discuss later. But Devin Mack, from what we heard so far, he sounds born for this role, and you can tell that he loves doing it.
I know what you're thinking. I'm good and powerful, apparently. Jealous? I must move at a relatively quick pace. Darn, that's not quite it, is it? But if you're willing to open your heart, I promise we're gonna make this work. After all, you live and learn.
That's the cheesiest thing in the world, but I love it and it sounds so good. Anyway, what about the other voice talent? Well, I don't know very much of these voice actors. Vincent Young? That's Kai from Ninjago. I personally think he would make a great Silver. He has that sign of naiveness and is a good version of him in my opinion. Here, have this video I made to demonstrate and let me know what you think.
But here's the worst part. What does that mean for us? He fell into the darkness. Oh yeah, I know exactly what I'm doing. That's the only thing I will ever inherit from you! A pillow! Harumi, she wants us to watch. But Cole would want us to keep fighting. There's no time. Yeah, well, I made a new friend who reminded me, Ninja never quit. No more! I just wish I still had my powers. I failed everyone. You, Mom, Dad, and Master Wu. Wow, you just keep getting it wrong, don't you?
But see, that is implying that Silver is going to be in this show, and while I'm hoping, hell, we have Big the Cat of all people, then I'm sure Silver is well in the cards personally. I'm just really excited to see what other characters show up in this thing, though I'm going to keep my expectations a little low on that. And now it's time to talk about the story. We don't know too terribly much, but we do seem to know that the show's plot revolves around the Shatterverse. And according to what we see in the trailer, Sonic seems to have caused it. And given what we've seen through the concept art we got in early 2020, it does seem to be some kind of Spider-Verse kind of thing. Seeing as how Sonic is looking at Tails confusingly and he has 6 tails, and there are 2 Eggmans on this other one. This plot has a lot of potential, and I'm very curious to see what all they do with it. We don't have much info on it, and I'm going to assume the first season of this thing is going to have a lot of mystery involving it. While we're on that subject, by the way, by how much we've gotten on Sonic Prime, I think it's fair to expect we'll only get a few episodes in winter. It is said we are getting 22 episodes of this show, and I feel like they are going to go in a similar episode release schedule as Castlevania, where they only release about 3 or 4 episodes as a sort of prologue kind of thing, and then release the rest through 2020. I suspect they'll probably split those episodes into 3 seasons, but that's just my guess, of course. Anyway, what do you think about Sonic Prime? Are you liking what you're seeing? I personally am ecstatic, and I can't wait to see what both WildBrain and Netflix have in store for us. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you like it, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, got a bunch of great content in the works, and I'll see you in the next one.